Hey, yeah, hey. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you're coming from. Hope you all are doing well. What's up, everyone? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me turn the music's back on because this is your chill office hours. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Sunday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, if you're new around here, Carolina added 2 minutes to a timer, but there is no timer. Remind me when we take our break. We'll add 2 minutes to that one. Alrighty, folks. Welcome. Hope you had a good Friday, a good Saturday. Hope you are reveling in the JavaScript goodness. Good to see you. From D, welcome to your first stream. Glad you're here with us. So if you're new around these parts, Sundays are our chill office hours. We play some music, we answer some questions, no lecture or anything like that. If you're brand new to us, this is the first time you're seeing us, we're running a free 30-week software engineering bootcamp where you can go from zero to employed. So that's the idea of what we're doing here. Well, said, how you doing? I'm doing good, doing good. For folks that want to ask questions, you can always ask questions in chat. I try my best to pay attention to them, but if you really want your question answered, you should do !ask in chat. Then it'll take you to the Slido for the day. So on Slido, you can ask your questions. Folks can upvote the questions, and the most upvoted ones we tend to take a look at. It's not a guarantee, some I skip, but it's a good idea to get your question on there. I hated JS until last night. Good to hear, good to hear. I think a lot of people have like a very scary notion of what JavaScript is going to be. And hopefully on Thursday we had a nicer introduction to it. That way it's not so scary. When can we start React? Not until a little bit later. Also, it's not something we go super deep on. We touch on it in program, but it's not something we go super deep into because it's just not like the end all be all when it comes to getting a job. Having it in on your tool belt of tools is a thing that you want, but it's not something you have to go wild on. It's not something I want you to like start tomorrow. I have an opinion on Svelte. All tools for the right job, right? Like I don't think there's any better or worse tools. Like I'm not a person that says you have to use this or that. I feel like there are certain times you should use certain tools and you use them then. Yeah. Mikey said, how deep do we go into Node.js? We go deep enough to where you can build real projects. That's the whole goal. The whole goal of this program is to be able to build real web applications for yourself, for your clients, and then eventually your employer. So we go as deep as you need to go to build anything that comes to your mind. In fact, everyone will have a 100 hours project where they have to sink 100 hours into a project. And the only way that you kind of get good at Node is by actually building. And that kind of goes for a lot of stuff in programming. So you'll spend 100 hours building a project. You go super deep in Node as you do that. So when does 100 hours project start? Not until we get through Node, like full stack development. Yeah. Not until we get through full stack development. What about the blockchain? No, we don't cover that here because we're focused on getting folks jobs, right? And so there are so many other wonderful things that you could do that are in the development field as a software engineer, but we laser focus on full stack web development because right now that's typically the quickest way into a job. Daily coding challenge just start this upcoming week. He shows how to set up or debug in VS Code. You're not there yet. We'll have a whole class on debugging, but just use VS Code like normal. Get better with your console. Get used to poking around for now. It's not something you have to be like grinding out at the moment. How do we fix a console error? Well, it depends on the error. So when we're writing JavaScript and things don't work, you're often going to see an error in the console. And so we have to get pretty good at deducing what happened in those errors. And that's kind of like your first step to debugging. And so it's something we'll get better at as time goes on. But yeah, if things aren't working in your JavaScript, one of the things you're probably going to look at is your console to see if there's an error. Are picture galleries possible with just CSS? I mean, you can show pictures, yeah. And maybe, and with CSS animations, you could probably have a carousel without JavaScript, but like starting and stopping it, or triggering it would be JavaScript. Are you planning on uploading office hours to YouTube? Probably not. An incentive to show up. A lot of times I like the office hours aren't stuff that I think would be on the main channel. I've toyed around with the idea of maybe like an unlisted playlist for the office hours, but we'll see. For now, all the office hours are on Twitch for 60 days. I think it's one of the perks of doing the bootcamp live. Yeah. What database will we use in our project? MongoDB. MongoDB is just like an easy way to transition from what you know about JavaScript into using a database. That's why we do it. I'm having trouble figuring out a $100 project. Good, we're not there yet, so you don't have to worry about it yet. A lot of times you don't want to rush into these things, right? $100 is going to be something that's deeply personal or passionate to you, all right? And so you don't want to run into it. We'll get there. We'll have plenty of classes on it. What else do we need to learn in CSS? Nothing. You're good. People really stress over feeling they need to do more in HTML and CSS. You have enough. When you're on the job, your employer is going to have like the way they want to do things, and you're going to have to learn how to do that. They might use Tailwind, they might use Bootstrap, they might use any of these other CSS-y things, right? CSS-y things, and so you're gonna have to learn the way they do it. But you have enough the raw building blocks to learn on the job and to learn as you build projects, right? So I like to stop where we're at with HTML and CSS, and then when you get into your 100 hours projects, when you have the projects that we built this week for JavaScript, make them better, right? Tweak the HTML, tweak the CSS, right? There's this parable, right? It's a really important parable, and the parable is that there was a pottery instructor, right? And the pottery instructor split the class up into two groups. One group had to build 30 pots in 30 days, and then one group had to build one pot for the full 30 days, right? So you had one group doing 30 pots, a different pot each day, and then you had one group that was building one pot, and at the end the pottery instructor is going to see who built the best pot. And it's always the group that did 30 pots. They always win, right? The group that did 30 pots is always the group that has the best pot at the end, as opposed to the person that just did one pot for a month, right? It just doesn't work out that way. You learn so much from each layout, from each new pot, right? You pick up things that you bring into your next pot, into your next layout. And so a lot of people get stressed out about the HTML and CSS, but the reason why I gave you 7 layouts is because you learn something from each one. And the reason kind of why we stop HTML and CSS here is because you know enough. Now it's just about building more pots. So when you have the YouTube color picker, make the CSS better, make the HTML better. There's nothing that said that you couldn't make it your own. Nothing that said you couldn't make it a Twitch background picker, right? And so you keep building and pushing, and it's so much better to work on your HTML and CSS when you're building real stuff for real projects than it is to kind of keep doing silly layouts, right? So we stop here, but as we start to work on more in-depth projects, as we get to deeper kind of full stack projects, you're going to come back and build for real stuff. And so that's what makes the HTML and CSS a little bit easier to stick as we get further in. Yeah. Do you have any recommendations for mock-up software? Figma's free and kind of the standard at the moment. So used to watching the VODs at 2x speed. Yeah, me too. It's funny. All the tours I typically watch at 175. That's normally my pace for me. Leon, is it normal to feel stupid right now with JavaScript? I feel like I don't understand very well and I failed the test of the articles. Yeah, I mean, we had one class on JavaScript, right? There's no way that it makes sense. And I didn't want it to make sense. Like, I gave a lot of disclaimers on Thursday that it should not make sense, right? You're supposed to be a sponge. You're supposed to be like taking stuff in, right? Supposed to be taking stuff in, and understanding will come in the coming weeks, right? And so, not something you have to be worried about for now. It's not something I wanted you to feel like, oh yeah, I understand JavaScript. No, it's one class. And I really like the example I gave of like learning like Japanese. If Japanese wasn't your native language, right, you wouldn't be after one class being like, I'm dumb because I can't speak fluent Japanese. That just doesn't make sense, right? Can we get a networking events channel on Discord? We do have a networking channel. It's for networking events. A lot of people like to like share other stuff, but that's what that channel's for. Yeah. Are we going to review data structures? Yeah, but way in the future. It's not something you start with, but it's definitely something we'll grind out at the end. Thoughts on eloquent JavaScript? Is it helpful to read at this stage? I love eloquent JavaScript. It's not helpful at this stage. It's too dry, it's too dense, and it covers a lot of stuff that's not going to be helpful at the beginning. Once we get a little bit deeper into JavaScript, I'll actually assign parts of eloquent as your homework, but right out the gate, it's too much. Eloquent.js is a phenomenal book on JavaScript, but it's kind of written for folks that are already programmers, I think, and are coming to JavaScript. And it's completely free online. Yeah, it is pretty dry. Study groups have already been assigned. So if you are not in a study group, I believe all the study groups are now open. You have to fill out that form because it means you probably missed the second form that we shared. So make sure you fill out the new form that's in the Follow Along Materials channel. But yeah, everyone should be in their affinity groups and in their location-based group. And we're kind of feeling them out, but it seems like they're going well. Thanks, Kick. If I'm networking at my job, do I still have to network at events? Yes. It's a numbers game, right? It's a numbers game, right? I had some folks that said, Leon, I have 20 friends already working in tech, and I'm like, great, give me 100 plus more, right? It's a numbers game. Yeah, the numbers game. And so there's always room to keep growing. You want to have as many folks that you can turn this from friends, from strangers to friends, and ultimately referrals. And you want to go broad in the beginning, and then once we get towards the end, you'll focus up a little bit with your hit list. What are some 100 hours projects from the last cohort? They're all so varied and different. When we get there, we'll walk through a lot of them together. Everything from kind of like recipe trackers for grandma's recipes to games. Well, not like games, but like gamified habit trackers. Like so much really cool stuff. But 100 hours projects should be personal to you. It should be something that you're passionate about. But we're not there yet. When we get there, I'll share lots of really great examples from the last cohort. When are you planning to reduce the prices in the channel point shop? Probably not. I think it's pretty good to have them high so that folks they don't kind of get flooded by new folks. No new friends, right? Do you have any freelance networking tips, advice? Yeah, we're gonna have a whole class on freelancing. So yeah. If you're already getting clients, you can sneak ahead and look on our YouTube for our freelancing class if you need it. When will the next boot camp be starting? I have no idea since this one just started, but it's not too late to join. You can join our Discord, join the catch up crew, and get caught up. You're not too late. I tried Meetup and Eventbrite, but I'm not finding any events. Certain cities have different types of events, and so make sure like Meetup and Eventbrite are a good place to start, but a lot of great events don't wind up on there. So you got to find the boards for your area. One thing I've always found helpful is like if you notice someone, like I would go on Twitter, I would look for folks in your area that are kind of like going to events or going to meetups, and like ask them, hey, what are the best events in that area, and see what they tell you. That's another way to kind of get started if you're not finding anything really good. Are there any games to help learn JS? Yeah, I'm sure there are, but I'm not really a big fan of the games for learning. I find them to be lower cognitive effort, and so I really do want people to get used to reading as the primary vehicle for learning when it comes to JavaScript, because once you get out into the real world and you're learning harder things, all there is some dusty old documentation that you have to read and understand and build from there. So I try to mimic that a little bit in the class. Of course we'll have videos, of course we'll have games, of course we'll have other tutorials, but the bulk of what we assign is going to be reading, because you have to get better at it. Robin, you would know if you're in a study group if you see the new channels. They should be down at the bottom. Yeah, some folks like solo learn. I find the apps and the handheld stuff too low cognitive effort, right? I think they're great if you like want to be like on the subway and learning, but anything that's holding your hand, you got to get away from as quickly as possible, right? I think they're great for filling in the blanks too, or like helping when you're stuck on stuff, but you got to get away from the things that are holding your hand. You got to be able to build and break stuff. The only way you really learn this stuff, really cement it, is when you're in your text editor building stuff, breaking stuff, playing with stuff, right? And I think a lot of people get tied up in those apps for too long. Hey Sam, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Hope you're doing well. Did the sound go off for the gifted subs? I didn't hear any sound. I'm practicing the sounds. Did folks hear the sounds when no sound? All right, I'm gonna go black for a second here. It's gonna go dark for a second. Just changing some sound settings. One second here. Changing some sound settings. We gotta get these better dialed in. All right, coming back. Cool. Cool. Are we going to cover DOM? Yeah, our whole class on Thursday was pretty much the DOM. Yeah. Which video did I talk about freelancing? It's literally labeled like Introduction to Freelancing on YouTube. I think it's like class 12 on the last cohort playlist. Yeah. When will we start another 100 dev session? I have no idea. Join this one. You're not too late. Yeah. Is it ever okay to make uncontrolled components in React? You know what, Dab? Don't let your dreams be dreams. Hope you're doing well. We go over Python? Nah, we don't cover Python in this course. We're geared on getting a job as quickly as possible, so we teach full stack JavaScript. And the reason for that is you only have to learn one language and you can do the full stack, right? You can go from the front end to the back end and not have to learn anything else. Are Turing and Hopper going to happen? Yep. They're just going to be other study communities. That's all they're going to be, right? We have all the study communities that rolled out. Turing, Hopper will just be additional study communities. So we wanted the study communities to roll out first. We wanted to see like how they worked, right? See how see how we could better moderate them. And so once we kind of feel confident that they're working, then we'll add those two as well. You're going to do Node.js with object-oriented programming? Of course. Yep. Will you be covering competitive coding? Nah, because it doesn't help you get a job. I like it. It's something I'm into, but it doesn't really help in the job search. This is a jobs program. Yes, it's a coding boot camp, but it's focused on getting folks jobs. So we only really cover stuff that's going to help you get a job. Any way you can change study community? Not at the moment. We don't have plans to let folks swap at the moment, just because it's a lot of moderation overhead. So maybe in the future, but not right now. We do the Angry Parent Simulator. We're going to do it on Tuesday. No. Just so that we have everyone with us when we do it. Difference between var and let, we're going to cover it on Tuesday, but they're both keywords that help you declare a variable, right? When we got the more modern version of JavaScript, we got these two new things called let and const. For now, a very simplified answer to this is that let can be reassigned, const can't be reassigned, and there are fewer instances where var is truly helpful, and it comes down to something called scoping. We're not there yet. We haven't covered any of that stuff in JavaScript, so don't get too hung up on it for now. I believe you can actually do !var and it'll give you the full breakdown of everything. But there are still very, very few. There are still scenarios where var I use and it comes in handy, right? But mainly you'll be using let and const. Yep. Is that javascript.info/var is the link there that you saw come through. I started 2 weeks late. You should join the catch-up crew. Yeah, join catch-up crew. We have no plans for another cohort yet this year. So you could be waiting a very long time. Best bet would be to join the catch-up crew and get started and catch up. Coding challenges will start next week. Yeah, once we feel a little bit better with the JavaScripts. Yep, we'll do data structures and algorithms for sure. Chronicle, you'll be able to do most of that with JavaScript. Yeah. Cool. Let's take a look at some of the questions in the Slido. All right, let's see where we're at with the Slido. Could you demonstrate how to make a nav bar with a hamburger icon using media queries for responsiveness in Flexbox? So we kind of talked about this in class. It's simply hiding and showing stuff at a certain media query. So let's try it. I'm not going to go super deep into it, but I'll show you kind of what I mean when I say use a media query to hide and show stuff. So code here. All right. So I'm just going to open up a template real quick. And I'm just going to let's just put something in so we can see it. So like an H1, or actually let's do a nav. Let's just do a nav just so that people see what I'm talking about. So nav, UL, li, and then we'll just we're going to do first, second, third. And so we'll do first, second, and then third. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to call this hamburger, right? Hamburger, right? And so if we have this here, we can maybe give this the class of hamburger, right? Call it class of hamburger. All right, class of hamburger. And then, yeah, I don't like to do the alt shift down. I just find it nicer to type it out. Yeah, I know I'm weird with that one. Class of hamburger, I have it. So then I'm gonna go to my CSS. And so just here in my additional styles, I'm gonna say hamburger, and I'm just gonna say display none. Cool. So if I open this, right? If I open this in the browser, we can see that it's only first, second, and third, right? The hamburger's not showing up, right? I did display none on the hamburger, so it's literally removed from the page. We can't see it, right? Literally removed from the page, can't see it. So it's gone. Now with a media query, right? Let's just say all, and let's say max width. Let's say, I don't know, let's do something so it's a little easier for us. 700 pixels. We'll go to the hamburger again, and we'll just say this. Anybody know the opposite of display none? Anybody know the opposite of display none? Chat. Yeah. Block. Yep. Display block. So display none and display block are opposites. All right. So now let's save this. Let's go back. Let's refresh. And where are we at with our width here? Let me inspect. All right. Now we got our inspector open. And so what the goal would be here would be that I think we're just too big because I zoomed in too much. Hold on, let me set my zoom back to 0. All right, there we go. I zoomed in all the way. And so with the zoom, it was way bigger font size. All right, so let me make this a bit bigger. All right, there we go. All right, so we can see first, second, and third. I know it's a little tiny, right? But the zoom is what had to have this go in there. So let me go ahead and make this below 700 pixels, and boom. It is not like in this crop. There we go. So we go below the 700 pixels, and you see that the hamburger comes back, right? Hamburger's back when we go below 700. Go above 700, hamburger is gone, right? Hamburger's gone above 700. Below 700, it's there. And so that's how you could hide and show the hamburger. And then what you could do is you could say, you could display none on all the LIs. So LI, display none, right? And hamburger display block. So hide all the LIs, but show the hamburger LI, right? Right. Appreciate you, codes. All right, so now we're going to say hide all the LIs, but show the hamburger. So let's go back here. Let's refresh. So now we just see hamburger, right? Come back. Boom. 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 And so now the LIs are hiding, hamburger's coming, right? So that's how you can do it with a media query. It's just the simple idea of hiding the LIs, but showing the one that you care about. That's the hamburger, right? Now, one thing that a common trap that people get into a lot, that they kind of mess it up a little bit, is this right here. They do the UL display none, and then it doesn't work, right? So if we come back and we refresh, you can see there's nothing there. Even though I'm saying, hey, show the LI, there's nothing there. It's not working. I think my computer just crashed. My computer just crashed. That's so weird. Not powered? Huh. Rip. Because it was like, you saw it was like glitching out, right? Like it did not like that it was glitching out. And then it like sunk. Hold on. Be right back. Hold on one second. I'm turning it back on. That was weird. No, it has full power. Office hours be doing the most. I don't know what it is on Sundays, y'all. There's something telling us not to be here on Sundays for some reason. But while the computer boots back up, what I was saying was that I'm going to stay on the BRB screen just until things come back. It's such a process too. The problem. All right, we'll do it for a second. Cool. So what I was saying, while the PC comes back on, what I was saying is the problem that we're running into with the LIs, right? When you do display none on the UL, why do you think the hamburger wasn't showing up, right? Did display none on the UL, but then we weren't seeing the hamburger. What happened there, do you think? Yeah, the hamburger was part of the UL. All right, since the hamburger is part of the UL, and you hide the UL, there's nothing you can do, right? There's nothing you could do to show that LI. If the container is hidden, right? If the container is hidden, there's nothing you can do that will help you to like actually see it. All right, folks. 1 second, bringing everything back online. Got the Slido up. Bringing the closed captionings back. This is what I get. This is what I get. All right, I think we're good. All right, there we go. I don't know, but y'all saw it glitching, right? That was weird. I don't know what it was, but yeah, it glitched and the computer went down. Shout out to computer stream. But yeah, so that's the idea. If the UL is display none, then there's nothing we can show in it. It's like you took it, like you put the Pikachu inside the UL, but then you got rid of the UL. There's no way to ever get that Pikachu. Yeah, I have no idea what the issue was. Yeah, I don't know what that was. Glitched. But yeah, so that's the idea here. So we don't ever do this. hide your LIs, and then display none on the individual stuff? Good question. Reader doesn't like bad code. All right, let's take a look at the next one here. Is there a good place to get a very thorough diagram of JavaScript syntax? I'm having a hard time understanding it. Yeah, class. Come to class. Everything you need to know for JavaScript we'll cover in class. But yeah, it's reading the material that I gave you for homework, right? It's committing to going deep with the reading, right? The reading I gave you is pretty good in my opinion in terms of going into detail on the things that actually matter. Going any deeper than that and class is probably not something I would recommend, honestly, right? Is there documentation like the MDN for JavaScript? Yeah, the MDN has it. Yeah, MDN has JavaScript documentation as well. Yeah. So the JavaScript, the JS way is something that I start off with early, right? But you got to get good at the reading. So many folks avoid the reading. They skirt the reading, or they don't put effort into getting better at the reading. They tell themselves that they're only good at videos, that they're only good at being somebody telling them how to do it, right? That's all false. Some people say they have a visual learning styles aren't real, right? And so you got to get good at the reading. I just like reading, but I do it anyway. Good. Trust me, you're going to be on the job and you'll be like, damn, I'm glad Leon forced me to do a lot of reading. Have we reached the bottom of the trough? Maybe some of you on Thursday did. On Thursday did. I think once you start getting into JavaScript is when most people hit the bottom of the trough. When they get there and they're just like, this all looks completely like gibberish. I have no idea what's going on. The stuff in your brain starts saying you're never going to be able to do it. That's when you're at the bottom. Finally, someone said it. Yeah, learning styles aren't a real thing. It's just not true. There's been some recent research that kind of like dug deeper into it. Most people, when they say I only learn a certain way, it just means they have bad study habits. And so that's why we start off 100 devs with like learning how to learn and pushing yourself to learn in ways that you might not have in the past. Now, some people might have a preference for some stuff, but you know. Are we learning React? Yeah, we'll learn React at the end. I can only learn with Leon. We learn to connect APIs, of course. Yeah. Hey, how do we know what the max width of a browser screen? There are actually things like view width and view height that can give you that, but I'm a big fan of just taking your design, shrinking it until it looks bad, and that's your media query. Shrink it until it looks bad, and you have your new media query. Chocodes, hey, how's it going? How you doing? How's your stream? Thanks for the raid. I actually saw you live, and I was like, I hope they're still live when we're done, so we could raid them. Hope your stream went well. Hope you're doing well. Let me test out my new fancy shout out command. Hopefully it works. Let's see. You'll be the first person I officially shout out. Yes, it works. Please, everyone, if you haven't, give them a follow, please. I'm gonna they're an amazing streamer. They cover a lot of stuff that we don't cover, like, so if you're interested in Ruby, definitely the place to hang out. Thanks for coming by. We had a good stream. What were we all working on? We end early now. Oh no. Human Essentials again. Happy Bar defeated us. Well, glad you came through. Sorry for the defeat, but next time you'll get them next time. For folks that came through in the raid, this is our chill office hours. We just answer questions about breaking into a job in tech, becoming a full stack developer. We run a 30-week software engineering bootcamp that's completely free here on Twitch. And so this is kind of just our chill office hours. We play some music, I answer some questions. Your exclamation point ask if you want to ask some questions. But yeah, glad your stream went well. Made a rainbow generator, Luigi. That's pretty cool. Here, I'll type the shout out command again for folks that missed it. Let's try it. How many times can I do it? All right, yeah, rate limiter's off. Give them a follow, please. All right, let's look at the next question on the Slido. What are some red flags when talking to potential freelancing clients? That's a cool question. Airy Princess said it's my birthday. All right, let's try something real quick. I have no idea if this is gonna work or not, but let's try it. Airy Princess, happy birthday. There you go. Happy birthday. Cheers to you. What are some red flags when talking to potential freelancing clients? So I think when it comes to freelancing, right, especially early on, when you're not super comfortable freelancing, there are some things that I typically try to avoid. But it also comes down to you just freelancing correctly. I don't do work without a contract, and I make sure that my clients are happy with the contract. I don't want to ever do work where both parties aren't happy with the agreement. And so I think some red flags early on with freelancers are folks that like avoid money conversations, folks that aren't responsive, folks that don't want to do stuff on contract, and folks that that seem like they're going to take advantage of you from the beginning. And so but I think if you do freelancing right, you can kind of avoid all those red flags with good contracts and good process. Sam said, my golden rule of freelancing is that the more they're paying, the more they will trust you to get the job done without making ridiculous demands. Absolutely. A lot of people have problems when they first start freelancing because they think that they have to start with really low amounts, right? They think that they have to start at the $200 mark, the bottom barrel, right? Those are always the worst clients. Absolutely the worst clients. But once you start breaking into real money, like the over 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, right? Like once you're in that ballpark, like it's a completely different game, right? And whenever I teach folks how to freelance, right? Whenever I teach folks how to freelance, there's a big group of folks that race to the bottom and they get in their fields and they set up $200 contracts. And then I have some folks that say, fuck it, I'm going to go for 5,000. Right. And the only difference between folks that get $200 and folks that get $5,000 is that the person that got 5,000 asked for it and they held their head high and they believed in themselves and they asked for that money. Right. I had a student, very first client, $50,000. First client out the jump, $50,000. It turned into a $70,000 client. They did a T-spill with us last cohort. So they're going to come back and tell you their story. Right. The only difference between 200 and 1,000, 200 and 5,000, 200 and 13,000, like Sam is saying, is they asked. They believed in themselves and they held themselves to that higher amount. So when you throw out low numbers, you get low numbers in return, and you get bad clients. So we're going to talk about all this during our freelancing class. If you want somebody that's really good at freelancing, you do !Sam. They've kind of really showed the path for folks that are new, how to get into it and get clients and change their life. So !Sam, they're in chat right now. Yeah. You can see their blog and Twitter. Definitely give them a follow. Cool. But yeah, if you're worried about freelancing, don't worry. We're gonna have full classes on this. I'm going to give you all the tips and tricks that I've learned over the years. I've done everything wrong when it comes to freelancing. I've done it all. I've done every bad thing you can do, and so I try to take all of my learnings and put it into one class, and two classes, so that you don't make the same mistakes. But we'll cover everything. We'll cover the messages you send. We'll cover the contracts. We'll cover the proposals. I'll give you examples for every single thing. So yeah. In fact, Sam took the contract template that we did and made it more American because it was like in UK language, and so Sam took it and made it more like US English, or like the words that we use in the US as opposed to like the UK, which I thought was pretty cool. America, exactly. We'll cover everything for freelancing. So yes, invoicing, all that stuff. Yep. Right. Any recommendations on a VS color theme to reduce eye strain? I would do all the ergonomic stuff to reduce eye strain before I would worry about like color scheme. Make sure you're using flux. Make sure you're taking breaks every 30 minutes to an hour. Make sure during those hour long, like during you take a break at the top of the hour, you have to look at something in the distance for at least 20 seconds. It's not your screen, right? You got to do those things to keep your eyes healthy above and beyond like what's on the actual screen. And then there are tons of different kind of color schemes and things like that. Pick what you feel is best, but you can also Google around. I'm sure there's one specifically for it. But I use a colorblind theme just to help folks on stream. That's what I use. I don't use anything special, but my breaks, my flux, and all that stuff keeps my screen going. And don't work in the dark. I love working in the dark, but there's nothing that wrecks my eyes more than working in the dark. If a well-lit space, take your breaks, focus on stuff in the distance. Tara C, do you need help for study groups and want to volunteer? Yes, send us a mod mail. All right, next question here on the Slido. Last class you said everybody is adding everyone in their social accounts. Should we make a new professional Twitter and LinkedIn account? I think that's a personal decision whether or not you create new accounts. I think it's a personal decision if you create new accounts, right? I recommend most people to keep their accounts as long as you're not wilding, right? As long as you're not wilding on Twitter and LinkedIn, right? As long as you don't have just like the wildest stuff on there, keep your personal account. Remember, the whole point about networking is making friends, right? The whole point of networking is making friends. Don't like, for me, it would just be too much effort to have like multiple profiles that I'm managing where I'm not actually being myself, right? You're going to find people that like you for you, right? That want to network with you for you. And that's what you want to put your time and energy into, right? And so for me, I don't create new accounts. I wouldn't create new accounts, but I also don't while online. So if you have like really bad online stuff, then yeah, maybe create a different account. But I think you're way better off building your own normal accounts to be more professional, to connect with more professional folks, and then creating new ones. Yeah. And be you, right? I saw some nonsense on Discord the other day that people were saying like, oh, like don't share X or Y. No, be you, right? Be you, make friends, right? And find people that want to network with you, right? It's too much to live life and not be yourself, right? And people smell it out. People smell it out. They don't want to network with somebody that's being fake, right? Yeah, people love authenticity. Exactly. Curtis, the form's still in follow along materials if you need it. Yeah, life's too short. Exactly. Candace said, should I take a job that I got? Only you know you, right? Only you know like your money situation, if it makes sense to take a job that's not web development. The thing I always tell my students is, right? The thing I always tell my students is there are folks that take jobs that are close to engineering but are not engineering, and they almost never make it to engineering. So if your goal is to be an engineer and get paid as an engineer, hold out for an engineering job if that's your goal. But if your goal is just to get paid and you get a good job along the way, take it, sure. But just know the folks that go the QA route, that go these other routes that are close but not no cigar, I rarely see them eventually make it to their end goal. Kind of what I just mentioned. Is it okay I'm applying for support engineer roles now since I have transferable skills? Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. Just know if your goal is to be like a full stack web developer, I just never see people eventually make it. Yeah. What about doing custom coding with another program like Adobe Captivate? I mean, it's up. It's each job might require different tools, but you don't really need to go niche down like that, unless like the client specifically asking for it. It's not something I would probably do. Do we go over things to ask in coffee chats? You're just trying to get to know someone. That's all it is. There's nothing right or wrong to ask in a coffee chat. You're just trying to get to know them. Ask them about their experience, how they got into tech, what they work on, what they're doing, right? You're literally just trying to make a friend. And if you're having trouble with that, read How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah. When you freelance, do you work on a team with other developers or do you work solo for the client? It depends. Sometimes I work with others, sometimes I don't. Will we ever have a doggo cam? We'll eventually get it, yeah. This new setup, I'm still trying to dial in. I don't have the sounds yet dialed in. Hold on. Let's see for a second. Can you all hear this? 1 second. Well, you heard the Crunk song. How about this?
Run.
Were you able to hear that? Was it like hella loud? Was it okay? Was it okay level? Was it say low or high? Low, high, or good? Low, high, or good? Good. Okay, cool. All right, so I feel good with that then. I think the last thing I have to figure out is a tad low. Yeah, good, but a tad low. Okay. The last thing to figure out is the I have the sound set for like a high number of cheers or a high number of gifted subs. But that's controlled through Streamlabs, and I can't actually practice that sound. There's no way to trigger it. So we'll see it as it comes. But I think that's the last one that might blow out your ears, but we'll see as it comes up. Cool. Well, we're at the top of the hour, right? At the top of the hour. So if you're new around here, we like to be healthy. We like to take a break, right? We like to take a break. We like to be healthy. So if you're new around here, if you're able, get up, move around, stretch, come back. Let your eyes focus on something in the distance for at least 20 seconds, right? And that's going to help save our eyes over the long term. So please take a break. I'm going to put a timer up on the clock here. And it is a 7-minute timer because they added 2 minutes to the timer. Thank you, Divker. So let's go ahead. 7-minute break. I will take a break as well. Be right back with y'all. So 7 minutes. Get up, stretch, hydrate, kiss some babies, play with some dogs if you have them. Look out the window, and I will see you all in 7. Yo, Melky, thank you for the raid. Hope you're doing well. Sorry, we were taking our break, so I'm back. You raided Bob. Hope you're doing well. How was your stream? What were you all up to? We're technically on our break, but gotta come back for Melky. What's going on? How was the stream? If y'all haven't followed them yet, I don't know if we've sent a raid your way yet. Hopefully we can get a raid coming your way soon. Corriger, what's up? Well, let me do a shout out here. You haven't given them a follow. Go ahead and give them a follow, please. We're definitely come get a raid going that way soon. Indifferent, I need to give mods the shout out command. I'll fix that after stream. How large should your first client be for a project? It's up to you. Small, big doesn't make. About 20 seconds left, and then we'll kind of keep going through the questions. Dope. Did a stream on getting the fang. That's cool. I feel like we need to like we gotta like pull together like the league of extraordinary like dev teachers and make sure that we can help folks kind of know when the cool stuff is happening. I would love to send folks your way for that. All right, folks, come on back. Let's get into some of these questions. For folks that are new that came with the raid, hi, I'm Leon. This is our office hours. It's where we just answer questions for folks that are going through our free 30-week software engineering bootcamp. So we're trying to take folks from zero to employed, and we learn a lot. HTML, CSS, and just started on JavaScript. We're gonna be teaching full stack web development. So through Node, MongoDB, building full stack web applications. Last cohort saw 80 plus people get jobs, and so we're keeping that train going. And then Sunday's just our time to catch up, answer questions. You know, always do !ask if you have any questions. Cool. You go over parameters and functions? No, we haven't covered functions in class yet. Parameters are what you pass into a function. It's like a bucket inside of a function that can hold stuff that you pass into it. So we touched about variables on Thursday. Think of them as like variables that only exist inside that function, but we'll cover it all in class. Cool. Let's take a look at the Slido and keep pushing through that. Are there many people just tagging along on the 100 devs bandwagon? I get new connection invites on LinkedIn daily and still none have a note included. Yeah, a lot of folks just kind of see the hashtag trending and try and use it just to get folks to like do stuff, to like add them on Twitter or add them on LinkedIn or join their discords or stuff like that. Keep your wits about you, right? We know that if you're trying to add folks on LinkedIn, you know that they should be including a note. We harped on that in class. So if you're getting a LinkedIn request from someone and they didn't include a note, then you know that they're not coming from 100 devs, right? So you can quickly ignore that if you would like. And the thing I'll keep saying is that your network is best built genuinely, right? With people that actually have a connection with you, with people that actually want to see you win. Just adding folks randomly is not going to help you in the long run. Shogo, you can add a note when you add someone. You're not sending a message beforehand. When you add someone, you can send a note, right? So you send a note when you add someone, not like a message ahead of time, right? You have to pay to send so many messages, but whenever you add someone, you can include a note when you're adding them. That's what we're talking about, right? And so your network is best built genuinely. I see some folks that don't really get this, and they say, oh, I rather have like 50 people see my stuff when I post on LinkedIn, or I rather have 50 people see my stuff when I post on Twitter. It does nothing for you. Yes, you might get a few likes, you might get some vanity stuff, but it doesn't actually help you in the long run. You're better off having a very well manicured LinkedIn where you actually know all the people that are on there and they generally vibe with you and want to help you. Because when it comes time to get a job or it comes time to connect other people to them, they actually know who the heck you are. And so for me, I've purged my LinkedIn many times, right? I've purged my LinkedIn many times where I'm like, I don't know you. I don't feel like I can connect you with anyone anymore. I don't feel like we're still in touch. And so I'd just get rid of them, right? And for me, that makes LinkedIn such a phenomenal resource because it's all people I have real connections with, that when somebody says, hey, Leon, can you connect to this person? I'm like, hell yeah, we went to this conference together last year, right? Or 2 years ago now, right? And so I that in the long run pays more dividends. And even Twitter too, like just doing stuff to get more nothing comes with more Twitter followers. Like my life hasn't been impacted. I went from like 1,000 Twitter followers to, I don't know, 25,000 Twitter followers in a year. My life has not changed because I have more Twitter followers. It's just, I rather follow people that I actually like or know and see their content and engage and build friends, right? Like a few extra follows doesn't really mean anything. And so I don't really get the bandwagon stuff, but hey, do you just keep your wits about you. Know that a lot of folks see 100 devs trending and they kind of just hop on it. Nothing we can do about it. Yeah. Sam is showing you up. I think me and Sam are pretty close now. Sam lapped me twice, and then I think I caught up with this cohort. Yeah, I'd rather prefer 100 real followers than 100 fake ones. Yeah, same. Yeah. Cool. The next one here. And then the other thing too, I'll say is just be careful. Like people out here trying to get got, right? There are people who are going to target you because 100 devs, they know that you're new. They want you to buy a course. They want you to join a Discord. And so just be careful. Keep your wits about you. If you're on Twitter, it's not a moderated space. We go through great lengths to keep Discord moderated, but when you're out there in those streets, it's just you. So keep your wits about you. Alrighty. What's the best way to keep all of this new information organized? New contracts, coding resources, tools, conferences, meetups, potential employers. Finding your organizational pattern is really important, and realize that whatever you do is not going to be the thing that you're stuck to for the long haul. I right now use Notion for a lot of this stuff, but honestly, what I really use is, and I can't put this on stream, but is a notebook. I'm a big lists person. I make, as folks might know, I make a monthly goals, I make weekly goals, and I set up daily goals, and those go onto a list. And as much as my life is in Notion, I find the physicality of a good list on my desk where I'm putting in the work as a way of staying organized. But anything that has to be long term goes into Notion. There's this concept of a second brain that I've really bought into, where I keep all my stuff broken down. So I have stuff for professional, I have stuff for learning, I have stuff for 100 devs, and it all just goes into Notion. I'm starting to not like I mean I'm kind of all bought into Notion, but I'm having some trouble with it at the moment, especially since like a lot of the stuff for working on like 100 devs, Notion kind of causes me a lot of pain because I have to copy and paste a lot, and when I copy and paste it, like copy and paste links into Discord, I got to figure out like how to get like raw markdown or something, but I'm just finding a lot of friction, right? Like the like getting ready for each stream takes a lot, right? So each class is a lot of work. I have to plan out lecture, I have to make sure I have good slides, I have to update all the examples, and then I have to like I practice my lectures so that when I'm in the lecture, I'm ready to go, right? And then when it's like the day of class, I have to like copy all this stuff. So for each class on Notion, I have a card that has the follow along materials message, that has the go live message, that has the tweet, that has the email that goes out. So all that stuff is in Notion, and I have to copy and paste a lot of it. And it's just it doesn't keep special characters right. It doesn't like keep links right. And so for some reason, like I'm just getting a lot of friction with it. So as much as my life is in Notion, I'm kind of looking at other tools too, that might help speed up my process a little bit. But yeah, Notion is my second brain. It's where I keep most of my stuff, but I'm also a really big proponent of not going into your days like an accident, having a plan for your month, your week, your day. Stop waking up not knowing what you're going to do, right? Once a month, sit down, think about what you're going to do. On Sundays, I like to think about what I'm going to get done for the week. That all goes onto my list for the week. And then every night before I go to bed, I plan out the top 3 things I have to get done the next day. You have to do that. Don't go into your days like an accident. But yeah, Ali Abdal has a video on this, I believe. Like they have good Notion videos. The person that we watch their videos on Spaced Repetition and Active Recall, they have some pretty good videos on like second brain using Notion that I recommend. I'm seriously thinking about buying a Remarkable tablet. I really like the Remarkable tablet. So my wife has the Remarkable tablet. I really like it, but I went iPad just because I really like the versatility of having like split screen and like a lot of stuff that I use all the time. So for me, it's cool. I think I went iPad at the end though. Yeah. Hey, Coacher, they're doing well. They're doing well. Good to hear. All right. Let's keep looking at these questions here. Okay, when building a website, do you write all the HTML first and then style it later, or build little sections of HTML and then style that before moving on? For a small layout, I will do all the HTML first and then the CSS. But I actually my process is a little bit different. My process is I take my layout, and with that layout I mark up everything. Like I draw boxes on everything. I've done this when I first started. I still do it. I don't care how big the project is. I take my layout, I box everything up, I figure out like what are the core pieces, I write out the HTML for it, and then I dive into the CSS. It's very rare that I like do HTML, CSS. I like to get my core layout done first and then fill in detail. So I guess I'll say I do my HTML for my core layout, my CSS for the core layout, and then I go back in and then I do section by section. When we get to reviewing we're going to review the layouts, and so when we review the layouts, we'll kind of see like my process for a little bit bigger of a project. But I'm kind of an HTML first, or at least HTML in terms of layout first, and then CSS. But we're not going to review the layouts today. We're going to do that, I believe, next Sunday. I want to give some folks a little bit more time to finish them. And then I want to go over them together. And I think I'm going to do like a instead of doing like an office hours, I'm going to do like an HTML CSS review class. And so I kind of wanted to do like a class around it and not just review them. So I think next Sunday we won't have office hours, but we'll have like HTML CSS 3-hour review class with like walking through one or two of the layouts in like super detail and seeing it with like floats, seeing it with Flexbox. And so I think that's what we'll do instead of like office hours. And I know some folks are still like really trying to finish them, and so I wanted to give folks a little bit more time. Yeah, let's plan on that happening on Sunday, next Sunday. Cool. Those people are into it. All right, dope. Yeah, we'll definitely do that then. All right, next question. How should I do networking if I would like to work in a governmental aid entity? Same thing, doesn't change. In the beginning, you want your networking to be wide. Anyone in tech, when it comes time to getting a job, are networking focused into what we call a hit list. And that hit list is going to have all the people that we need to talk to get the jobs that we really want. And so the process is the same. Practice now by going wide, right? Like if you know, like, let's say you want to work, I don't know, let's say you want to work at Starbucks. I don't know. Like you want to work at Starbucks corporate, right? Let's pick a tech company. Let's say you want to work at Salesforce. I don't know. Let's just say you want to work at Salesforce, right? That's like your dream. Your dream is to work at Salesforce. You don't start off by networking with folks at Salesforce, because when most folks start off at networking, they're not really good at networking. So go wide, get all your fumbles, get all the oddities out, get better, right? Get better, get better at networking. And then by the time you're ready to do your focused targeted networking, it's all gravy, right? It's all gravy. So don't start off like, you don't start off by going directly after the people that you want, because you need to practice, you need to build up to it. And so by the time we're focusing, you'll be ready. So your work-life balance is based off of Notion and your planning. You and your wife does this? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I plan out my week pretty religiously. And I'm also like a grinder though. I'm a big fan of like with the time that you have, what do you do with it? I'm very lucky to have a partner that also likes to work a lot. So it's not unheard of for me to put in 12-hour days. But I enjoy it. I take my breaks. I do have my leisure time, but I like to grind. Something I enjoy. We'll be covering networking via online text. Yeah, we kind of already said it. We already walked through how to do it. I shared my messages with you. But it's just, you got to start doing it, right? Find the places where you can network via text, Slack groups, things like that, Discords, yeah. Do you want to show us your Notion template? No. My Notion has a lot of really personal stuff in it. If folks really want to see it, I'd have to clean it up first. Yeah. I missed the hydration. Oh, Memphis. Hey, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. It's kind of like the same thing as my Google Calendar. Like, I would love to show it to you, but like, no. Eventually, I think I have to create content around this, and so I'll figure out a way to do it. Halion, how do I subscribe with Prime? I think if you hit the sub button, there will be an option for Prime. Yeah. Nah, TZ, I didn't get a chance. Gonna watch it after. What's the name of the timer you use for breaks? Smart countdown timer. It's just a timer I found on the App Store. Ooh, sound. All right, Indifferent. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Were folks able to hear the sound, and was it like a good volume? Indifferent. Thank you so much for the gifted subs. All right, put good, low, or high. Like, was it too high, too low, or good? Yes, and it was good. All right, cool, awesome. I think our sounds are dialed in then. I think the only other one I have to dial in, I think we're good with those. I think I have to fix the cheering, but I'll do that after stream. Yeah, a couple things I want to do is I need to, like, I want to get a better sub message. I think the me showing flexing with my Pokemon cards might be a little too much, and so I think we're gonna get a different sub one. We used to do the Pokemon stuff, but I think if I want these videos to go the long haul, I can't use the Pokemon stuff for reasons. But I'm glad to hear the sounds are at least kind of getting in there. I completely moved my setup, and I had to, like, I'm gonna do a video on it because people keep asking for the setup video, but it's literally hundreds of cables. And something I didn't know is that when you unplug the Go XLR, it, like, all the settings go out the window. And sorry, like, it just gets really weird. All of the cam links got really weird, so I have like 2 cameras, technically 3 cameras that are set up, and so it's just been a pain getting it all back together. Yeah, but yeah, I'm glad to hear the sound's kind of almost there. All right, let's look at this next question here. Is there time during or outside of class to have someone advanced go through creating an entire website and the thought process of each step? I think there are some YouTube videos online of folks doing that. But here's the real secret. There's really nothing more to it. People really think that it's like a lot more, but it's not. It's kind of what you've already done. If you did the layouts in class, there's nothing more that a professional is really going to do. There might be certain things that when they get stuck on the Google, when they want to do something a little bit more optimally, they'll research it, but there's not like a really big gap. You're like 85-90% of the way there if you're able to, like, take the picture and make it look the way it looks, right? Of course, there are, like, optimizations for, like, speed, page load, all this stuff, but you're already there. So it's not that there's, like, you're not missing stuff is what I want you to realize. But on next Sunday when we do the full review, you'll see me walk through mine and make all the considerations. Yeah, but the cool thing is that Twitch, right? Like, if you're on Twitch, there are lots of great channels where folks are building stuff all the time, right? So we rated Mewtwo and their partner Vape Juice Jordan. They're always building stuff. You can, like, go into those streams and watch them build, ask tons of questions. Yeah, that's where I get it from. Like, if I want to learn something new, I'll watch some Twitch streams. I'll watch somebody on YouTube do it. But yeah, but I just want you to know that you're not really missing stuff. It's just doing it more, kind of sanding off the edges a little bit. But you'll see me work through it on Sunday. Yeah. Is 100 devs a secret marketing campaign for Domino's? Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. 100%. And in fact, on Tuesday I'm launching a new campaign. On Tuesday I'm putting a stake in the ground. Right? Busted, exactly. I'm putting a stake in the ground. We're launching a new campaign on Tuesday. I'm not gonna reveal the secret yet. But on Tuesday, I'm putting my line in the sand. I'm not standing for anything. I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm going to do something, and we're going to do something together big. All right. So just know, line in the sand is going to be drawn. We're going after someone. All right. So you already know it. How are you all in my head? How are you all in my head? Interesting. For those that have, next question on the Slido. For those that have freelancing clients lined up, can you provide me some information soon to relay that we can and can't do for them, or guidelines for pricing? If you already have a client and you can't wait like 3 classes, watch our past freelancing class on YouTube. So I think it's class 12 of the last cohort. There are playlists for each cohort. I think it's class 12. Watch that. Like if you can't wait the 3 classes, you got something that's coming in hot, watch that class, and then it'll give you everything that you need. Ian Bull said, what if a pizza company that's not Domino's reached out to sponsor you? I'm going to leave them unread. I'm not going to open the email. I'm going to ghost them. Next question. Can we please have another networking session? Of course. Yeah, we're gonna do plenty of networking sessions. So yeah, we'll have another one coming up soonish with a different platform. So yeah, you'll have more chances to network soon. Yeah. We're just trying to work with so since we have like thousands of people come up, the problem with the platforms for networking, there are some that I really enjoy, but there's 2 things. One, they can't handle like how many people we have, or 2, it's just like mind-blowingly expensive, right? Just like mind-blowingly expensive. And so it's about finding a platform that can support us, and that's not going to cost me $10,000. The cool thing about Remo is that it's like affordable, and so we were able to make it work. And if we don't do the shuffling, I think we can make it work even better. Yeah. So I'm talking to a bunch of different platforms right now, trying to find a good fit. But once we have a good fit, we'll do another networking session. Are we going to be required to have a paid project as part of this course? Yeah, you have to get a paid client. Yep, it's part of the course. Have you ever been approached by companies to be an affiliate for pipelining qualified candidates directly to dev jobs? I've had a few offers for that, but I didn't like the company, so I said no. We are going to be working on a jobs platform. So folks that know De Jesus, that's in chat sometimes. They're helping us build out a platform for graduates of 100 devs to get jobs. So it's kind of one of the next big things I'm working on. The agency is the big thing that I have coming up, but also like the jobs platform is going to be a pretty cool project, I think. Yeah, because we have a lot of people that are reaching out, right? Yeah. Is it going to be an unpaid CTO for 100 devs? I hope so. Yeah, so that's something we're going to be working on soon. Yeah. Next question. Can we review some of the layouts for homework? Yeah, we're going to do that review class next Sunday. We'll go deep into all of them. Crispy Nugget says, big thanks for what you, mods, and community continue to build here. We all see the grind, heart, sweat that goes in all of this. Immensely appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. I think the big thing, right? Like, there's no way this happens without the mods, right? And so the first cohort was great, right? We had 300 people, manageable. I could do most of it like with just me. But now that there are thousands of people, we're over 25,000 people in Discord. Let me say it one more time. We're over 25,000 people in Discord. And so the mods bear the brunt of that, right? Answering all the questions, making sure that bad actors are removed, keeping things on topic. It's just an overwhelming amount of work. Difficult said 26K now. Just an overwhelming amount of work that's just not possible by myself, right? And then there are so many things that are like really big projects that we want to bring to you that to make the experience better, like the study communities. I can't tell you how much work Blah put into that, right? Like it's an absurd amount, like an absurd amount of work, like mind-numbing work that Blah sat there. If you're in a study community, they single-handedly added you to that study community, like manually, like spreadsheet open, manually adding people for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I did like 800 of it, and I was wrecked. And so they did like 4,000 or 5,000, and then did another like 4,000 back to back. So stuff like that is amazing, and we owe a huge amount of thanks to all the mods, Blah for helping with the study communities, and Different, who's always here in chat, Divker, who's always here in chat, folks that are always on Discord, right? And so this is a mind-blowingly the amount of work they put in to make this community work. And so all my gratitude in the whole wide world. And so whenever you see a mod, give them some love, please. They deserve it. Dab, I got to reach back out to them. I hope they're doing well though. What are you gonna do when more than 100 people land jobs? Well, we upgrade to 1,000 devs, exactly. What is the most common way we'll see JavaScript used for websites? For the behavior and interaction, right? So a lot of websites you go to, when you click on things, stuff happens. That's all JavaScript. But JavaScript's a tool. We're going to be using it to do a lot of stuff, and we're going to be using it on the back end as well. And so anytime you have behavior interaction, that's JavaScript. So drop like when you have like hamburger menus that open up, things that are moving, right? All that behavior, all that interaction is JavaScript. And we're going to see more and more examples, but we're using JavaScript also as to like learn a programming language. So there's like the practical stuff that we can do in the browser, but then there's also the theory stuff, like learning how to code, like learning how to program. And that's why we use JavaScript as well. So there's both practical and theory that we're learning at the same time. And then we take that and we apply it to the back end as well. So, yeah. Fairly new. Does your bootcamp cover front end and back end to become full stack? Yep. We cover full stack development. Chart, yep, coming up soon. Next question. As we cross into JavaScript, what obstacles did you face when learning this skill set? How did you overcome them? I think for me, whenever learning a new language, the hardest part is like the bewilderment at first, where everything seems so new, so foreign, so something that like you just feel like it'll never click and make sense. And I get that with every language. I don't care what I'm learning. I always go through that period of like mild panic in the beginning, where I just feel like it's too overwhelming. And the skill set that I know I've cultivated over my 10 plus years of learning this stuff is that I've cultivated a belief that I will eventually learn it, right? And that's why I spent so much time talking on Thursday about the baby idea, like this idea that like a baby is half learning to walk, but half believing that you can do it, right? And babies don't sit there freaking out that they'll never learn how to walk. They have the belief that they will eventually learn how to walk. And I think if you can cultivate one skill, like at this point in time, it'll be that belief that you will eventually figure it out. And so for me, that belief comes from, right? I think that belief for me comes into really investing in my learning process, really investing in setting up my days correctly, really investing in like my Anki, really investing in all the things I know they're going to help me learn in the long haul. And through that investment in myself, into my learning process, I know that with time I'll learn anything. Like I 100% believe I could learn anything. I don't care what it is. I think I have the skills to learn anything. And that took me 10 years to build up that belief. I think, honestly, because I never really had someone telling me that you could learn anything. And so I think that's my superpower. I think my superpower is like the belief that I, given enough time and enough effort, I could learn anything. And so I think when you're first tackling JavaScript, invest in not going into your days like an accident. Invest in your Anki. Invest in being consistent. Invest in managing your frustration and cultivating a learning process that you can carry to each new thing. If you do that, you'll be fine. What are your thoughts on mobile engineering and getting a job? I mean, there are jobs out there, but if you're talking about the fastest way to a job, right? Talking about the fastest way to a job, it's full stack. That way you don't close off anything. You can tack on React Native, and then that opens up some mobile opportunities as well. Cool. So yeah, collective, the links are banned in chat unless you're a mod. So the Project Jeweler is cool. It's very math heavy, so if you like math, it's a great place to practice. But if you don't like math, no, there are way better sites. What is class order? Well, it's HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Node, Express, MongoDB, React. That's it. Yeah, Euler. I always say Euler. I don't know why. Always. Thank you, Diffker. It's like something that people have like pointed out like a bazillion times. I still say it the wrong way every time. I got you, Blah. Next question. Have decisions on House Hopper and Turing been made? No, not yet. There's simply just going to be extra study communities, right? And so we wanted to get the other study communities up and running first, make sure that they work, make sure we can moderate them well, and then we'll open up the other ones as well. Can you quickly cover the different best way to position text or other element over a background image in a responsive, friendly way? We cover a different best way to position text or background image. So you don't really have to do anything. The background image is just the background. So it's just be the same way that any way that you would normally move text around, right? Any way that you normally move text around is it goes when there's an image on the background, right? So I think that when you look at like BBC and that stuff where they had like text on top of the background, that image was just the background. It doesn't actually impact the text in any way. So you would go into your CSS, you would do a background image, and you would link to that background image, and that's kind of it. There's nothing extra that you have to do. Taco said, I heard we might legally need a degree to call ourselves engineers. Should we call ourselves developers instead? Is this true? Certain countries have restrictions on what you can call yourself. Canada's like the only one that I really know of that has a restriction on calling yourself an engineer. But in the US and pretty much all the other countries, there's no repercussions to calling yourself an engineer. Yeah. it's kind of country by country. Yeah. Yeah, but even then it's like, who cares? Yeah, and just a reminder, I'm not a lawyer, not a tax professional, right? You have to do your own research for your own jurisdiction. Can you explain what DevOps is? There seem to be so many different definitions. Yeah, sure. So when you're a software developer, like when you're a software engineer and you're developing software, right? We're full stack web developers, right? And we build applications, right? So as a software engineer, you're building applications, right? As a full stack web developer, you're building applications. Your focus is writing code that like solves business problems. You write all this code, right? You write all this code, right? And then once you write all the code, you have to like get that code live, right? It has to be like on a server so other folks can see it. They can interact with it. When you have too many folks, you have to do different stuff to your server, right? Like whenever we go to Glitch and Glitch goes down because we sent too much traffic, right? Like there's all this stuff that entails like getting your code live and keeping it live that is not related to the practice of writing software. That's where DevOps comes in, right? It's all the stuff between like you finishing code and it going live. And so there's a lot of work that can be done. It's a lot of things that you can do. One of our good friends here on Twitch, Mastermind, they do a lot of stuff with DevOps. Definitely recommend watching some of their streams. But yeah, so it's just like the process, like after writing code, what happens? That's where DevOps comes in. And then some people will say like also keeping it live, but it's a little bit more nebulous. How can I join the Ketchup crew? You join Discord, you agree to our rules, you click the emojis to join 100 devs, and then you'll see the Ketchup crew channel on Discord. Will we cover how to make a website live? Yes, we actually already did. So for your HTML and CSS, we just use netlify.com/drop. You literally just drag your folder to the browser and it gets hosted for you. That's it. You're done. We live in a world where we don't have to really invest too much in learning how to get stuff live. There are amazing services that will host your code even for free, get it live in seconds. And so it's just a different world out there these days for developers. So I use Netlify, I use Heroku, and those handle all the heavy lifting. How tools and websites do you find developer jobs? We actually have classes on how to find jobs. So if you go on our YouTube, !YouTube, or I think that'll work here, or just leonnoel.com/YouTube, you can see all of our past classes on how to find jobs. I really like AngelList to start off with. CD, when we get into class, we'll cover more of that stuff. Yeah. What does Mastermind's handle? Let me type it out for you. There we go. This is Mastermind. I'm gonna put it in the chat. That's Mastermind. They do more DevOpsy stuff. All right, let's look at this next question here. Hi, Leon. Any update on the CSGO server? We're still working on it. The person that was helping me actually got pretty sick and went to the hospital. And so we're letting them recover and then we're going to get it live. We made some changes like last night And so I'm hoping maybe by like end of next weekend we'll have it live. But yeah, that's kind of what happened. What are the main concepts of JavaScript that we should be focusing on right now? The stuff that I asked you to focus on, the reading I gave you for homework, that's what you should be focusing on. The big four: variables, functions, loops, conditionals. That's it. If you really understand variables, functions, loops, and conditionals, you're all set. You can go home. Like, you're done. Yeah. Next question. I entered homework in late because I was on a trip. Will it still be accepted? Yeah. I mean, we have the catch-up crew, right? So join the catch-up crew and get things in as you need to. Twofer. Next question here. What's your favorite part about teaching? And do you have a dream passion project you want to build? My favorite part about teaching is learning. I think any teacher that teaches without the intent of learning is I think that's just the wrong approach to education. And so for me, I love teaching because I learned so much through teaching. The thing that I tell people is like, and me and Indifferent have to do like a battle on this one day. I am a bug finding machine, right? I am a bug finding machine. I can sit down and immediately, like, I have students that'll come up to me and like I can smell their computer and already know what their problem is, right? Because I've been helping people debug all their code for 10 years now, right? And so for me, I've learned to debug really quickly, really fastly, right? It's just like I've seen so many things that can go wrong that I never would have saw if I wasn't teaching. So for me, like, I get exposed to a lot more things that go wrong, and I'm good at it, right? I'm good at fixing things because I teach. For me, like, teaching too, I learned so much new things. Like when you have to like take a concept and break it down into what you think is going to be something more approachable, that solidifies the connections, right? Dad wants in on the challenge. All right, we'll do it. We'll do like a debug contest one of these days. Like, teaching solidifies connections in your brain that don't happen when you don't teach. So for me, I've picked up a lot of good skills. I've really reinforced certain concepts, and then I just learned so many new things. Every class, somebody mentioned something in chat where I'm like, oh, I had no idea you could do that, right? And there's just no way to ever know everything, and there's no way to ever come across things. And so when you're teaching, you also learn. And so I think that's a good mindset. I really have a bone to pick with mentors that don't feel that learning is a reciprocal process. If you want to be a mentor, you should be learning just as much as the person you're mentoring, right? And that's why I hate the idea of mentors and really like the idea of making friends, not mentors. De Jesus, who hangs out in here, has a really good article on making friends, not mentors. I'm gonna find it. There you go. Yeah. All right, next question. Oh, there's a two-part. You have a dream passion project that you want to build. I don't think I just have a lot of stuff I want to do with 100 devs, right? There's a lot of stuff that I want to build with 100 devs. There's a lot of big projects I want to tackle. And so right now I think my focus is on 100 devs, right? Like, I've been doing a lot of work to get the agency going. I'm eventually putting a lot of work into like a lot of like the accessory programs that I think that I want to build. So I think a lot of my energy, of course, is going into 100 devs at the moment. I do have some like bigger projects I want to keep working on. I really want to get my rap project out because I think it's really fun. I have like this long-term Like I never built video games don't excite me, but I've always wanted to build like a multiplayer game just because I really want to learn like how multiplayer really works, like, and not like using off the shelf stuff, but like really dive into it. So that's always been a project in the back of my mind. But I think most of my time's at a premium, right? Like I got a full-time job and then we have 100 devs, and so my time's always at a premium. So I think right now focusing my energy into the tools and things I think that are gonna help 100 devs is where I'm focusing. But I got like a list of some bigger projects I want to get to. I really want to build, the other thing I want to work on is like better tools for learning, right? I think if I look like a year or two out, the agency for 100 devs is working on tools to help learners, right? And then having a small holding of tools that help people learn, I think it'd be pretty cool. Do you think there's an age limit to learning this? Nope. I have folks of all ages learn this stuff and get jobs. So just haven't really seen it being a limiting factor. Will you run into some discrimination? Maybe, but it's not gonna be the thing that stops you from getting a job. How do you prevent yourself from getting burnt out? I take a full day off every week. So I take like a full almost 24 hours off each week. And I really don't do anything on that day other than like spend time with like family, reading, cooking. Well, not really cooking. I cook before and then I don't cook, but like I take a break once a week, one day a week. And then I'm pretty consistent when I'm in a good streak. I'm pretty consistent with my like sleeping patterns, my health patterns, things like that. Yeah. But I get burnt out for sure. It's definitely something that happens. I'm also bipolar, so sometimes my med's not helping me struggle through, and so if I have to take time, I take time. There's going to be a point in this cohort where I have to miss a class or two, just because I know I'll need that time. Yeah. Question. Is it okay that if some of us get behind or take longer than others? Absolutely. That's why we have catch up crew. The goal is for us all to land jobs no matter how long it takes, as long as we put in the work. You got it. That's it. I'm here to get folks jobs. And so some folks that comes quicker, some folks that takes more time. And here's the thing. Everyone does not have the same privileges when it comes to time. We understand that, right? Like some folks have the privilege of not needing to work. Some folks have the privilege of having an extra 10 hours a day. So if you do not have that privilege of time, then it's going to take you a little bit longer, and that's okay. The thing that I need you to do though, is to be optimal with the time that you do have, right? A lot of people will say to themselves, oh, I don't have time to do stuff. And then they'll watch 2 hours of Netflix. Or I don't have time to do stuff, and they'll do things that are not, they'll go into their day like an accident, right? They won't plan out their days. They won't plan out their week, right? And at the end of the week, they go, oh, I never had any time to study. Well, it's because you didn't plan out your week to include study time, right? And so as long as you are realizing that not everyone has the same privileges when it comes to time, but if you do have the privilege of time, do not waste it. Do not go into your days like an accident. Be consistent. Take the time that you need to do the things properly. If I have 10 hours every day to do coding, should I use that full 10 hours every day? Will that lead to burnout? That'll probably lead to burnout. Most people can't study for 10 hours a day. Most folks, like when they tell me, Lee, I'm going to study for 10 hours a day. No, you're not. You're going to do that for like 3 days, and you're going to burn out and watch TikTok. You have to be taking your breaks. You have to be getting in your spaced repetition, your active recall, right? Yeah. You got to build up that focus. If you do have 10 hours, Don't expect to start 10 hours. You got to build up to being able to do 10 hours, but it's not needed. 10 hours is not needed. I'd rather somebody that has 2 hours a day, but they're hyper focused in those 2 hours, than somebody that says they have 10 hours, but really kind of messes around for a couple hours every day. And know all these things that whenever I talk about like productivity, I'm never intending to speak in absolutes. Everyone is different. We all come to the table with different things, different privileges, different skills. And so you have to find what works for you. Manage your frustration, be consistent. Consistency above all. I don't want to hear that you do 10 hours on Saturday and 1 hour on Monday. No, rather you do that 1 hour every day of the week. Hi, Leon. I'm finding it hard to grasp what you mean by 3 connections every week. Can you give some examples? You need to find 3 people that are already in tech, that are not friends, families, or people from 100 devs. That's it. 3 people already in tech that are not friends, family, or already in tech. Sorry, already in 100 devs. Right? And so you're going out there, you're finding project managers, engineers, folks that work at startups you might be interested in. Yeah. If you're having trouble finding those people, you got to go back and watch your class. We talked about a lot of different places, meetups. We talked about conferences. We talked about interest groups, all these different places. Rewatch that class if you're having trouble finding folks. Will we be submitting the tasks we complete for the JavaScript.info readings we were signed? So if I assign work, expect that it will probably be due and turned in, right? I never let people know what's going to be turned in, what's not going to be turned in, because then they'll use that to like not do stuff. So yeah, expect if I ever assign homework that it'll probably be due, and be pleasantly surprised if I don't ask for anything. Do most tech jobs require any knowledge of Excel? I don't think so. Just no, I don't think so. Like as an engineer, I don't think any of my engineers are like in in Excel. Yeah. I mean, if you're like a project manager or something like that, you'll be using it more, but day to day as an engineer, probably not. What's your favorite thing about JavaScript? I like how open it is, and how I think it's a double-edged sword, right? I love the idea that like there's really it's so, I'm gonna explain this right. The syntax kind of doesn't matter. I can write it any way I want to write it. It never really gets in my way. I can just say the things I want it to do and it does it. I don't have to worry about white space. I don't have to worry about special characters. I don't have to worry about like all that stuff that like other languages you have to worry about. And so for some folks that's really overwhelming because you don't know what's the right way to do it at first. But for me, it's very freeing. JS shoots from the hip. Yeah, kind of. It's very forgiving. Exactly. Very forgiving. And so I really enjoy that about JavaScript. Yeah. And I also think I find JavaScript beautiful. Like I've coded in a lot of languages and I just find JavaScript a little bit easier to express the things I want to express. I find that there's often like these really nifty like shortcuts that I learn all the time that make it really like pretty to write. But I think that's just me. Maybe some other people. Like when I write Python, I just get so frustrated. I pine for JavaScript as I write Python. I think that's not the normal feeling, but for me it is. Yeah. Cool. All right, folks, we're at the top of the hour. Right? It's at the top of the hour, and so if you're new around here, we like to take breaks. So we're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break to be healthy, right? So we're going to hopefully get up if you're able, move around, hydrate, look at something in the distance that's not your screen, and then we'll be back in 5. We're going to go for a little bit more today. I don't know if we'll go for the full hour, but I think we got some other pretty good, interesting questions on the Slido. Exclamation point ask if you have some questions. Upvote the ones you want to see us get to today. And when we come back in 5, we'll go over those questions. All right, folks, see you in 5 minutes. Alrighty, folks, come on back. Let's do a little bit more and then we'll end with our raid. I want to get through some, maybe a couple more of these questions, then we'll end. Sometimes I'd like to go the full 3, sometimes a little earlier. So, exclamation point asks for your questions. Favorite MTG cycle? I was super into MTG back in like the Gray Matter days. Like they were running a lot of the big tournaments on the East Coast. So back then it was like probably my favorite time. Yeah. Alrighty. Let's look through some of these questions. Remember, you can upvote the ones that you wanna see. All right. So next question is, what is the difference between click, on click, and add event listener? So the big thing, and we kind of saw this in class, right? Saw this in class. The big thing is that when you use on click, you're bound to click. That's it. The only thing you can do is click. But with add event listener, you can actually pass in the different types of events, right? You could pass in, click, double click, mouse enter, mouse leave, like all these things that are other types of events. And so on click, you're tied to clicks, but add event listener, you can change the event to be what you want. And so you're going to see me mainly use add event listener. I'm going to give you some examples that have on click just so you see it and it's not completely foreign if you see it in real life. But yeah, add event listener is what I use the most. Yeah, just because I can change out what I want. Many networking events I've seen that I signed up for ask for your company and job title to sign up. What do you recommend putting down in those cases? Software engineer at 100 devs. Boom. I was trying to push myself to create an alert with the calculator from the total hits an exact certain number. Got super frustrated and lost trying it out. Anyway, you can show something like that. So you just have to have a conditional, and you have to have the conditional inside of each of the clicks though, or it calls a function that has that conditional in it. If you just put the conditional outside of a function, that conditional is not going to run every time. That conditional will only run on page load. So you have to put that conditional check inside of the click events or calling it from the click events. I think if you're trying to make that alert that's waiting, you probably put the conditional outside of your function or outside of the event, and that's why it's not actually running. Oh, very haunted. After we become an alumni, will there be a path to become a mod should we want to pursue it? Yeah, we'll share more about, we're bringing on more mods. You don't have to be an alumni to be a mod either. A lot of our mods started during the last cohort. So we're going to be sharing more about mods soon because we're bringing on a bunch more, hopefully. Can you give an example for how to use Anki for JS terms? Put all the stuff you're learning into Anki. Yeah. If you learn what a variable is, what is a variable? Put it into Anki. What's assignment? What's declaration? Put it into Anki. What is conditional syntax? Put it into Anki. I would put like, how do I check if two things are true in a conditional? Put it into Anki, right? As you're learning these things, put in Anki. There's no wrong way to do Anki. Don't feel like you have to do some things or not do some things, right? Yeah. Would you say at 100 devs you worked on freelancing clients, or would you say in an interview? Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. Because you'll have a paid client, you'll have worked on a project team before you graduate. So yeah, you've worked with engineers, you worked with paid clients during your time at 100 devs, but we'll cover more of that when we get to like how to get a job. That's why getting a paid client is part of the program, so that you can actually say that during an interview. The only wrong way to do Anki is not doing it. Exactly. Rocket said, I'm present for every live class, but behind due to my demanding day job. But best believe I'm studying, doing assignments, progressing at my own pace. Hey, glad you're here. Good stuff. What podcasts or speakers do you recommend for those who want to bridge healthcare and tech? Not really sure. I don't know of too many folks in the healthcare space. I'm just a fan of listening to generic podcasts like in tech. I like Syntax FM, I like Shop Talk Show. I'm not really sure of like the intersection of those two things. I'm not in that world, unfortunately. Will Shay Hal do a pop-up visit in one of our 100 devs classes? I'm hoping. Gotta figure it out. Is there a list of questions you can give us or some guidance for coffee chats? I have one that's coming up this week. Just make friends. And if you're having trouble with that, read How to Win Friends and Influence People, and then just get to know someone. There's nothing wrong that can go. There's nothing wrong that can happen, right? If you're just trying to make friends, right? Some coffee chats are going to go great. Some coffee chats are not, right? And you just got to go roll with the punches, right? And so for me, I'm just trying to get to know someone. Hey, how you doing? How's your week been? How'd you get into tech? Why'd you get into tech? What are the things you work on? What are you excited about? What are you not excited about? How'd you do that, right? And that'll fill 20 minutes, no problem. Yeah, people love to talk about themselves. So if you read How to Win Friends and Influence People, you'll know how to push people to talk about themselves, and then you go that route. Thoughts on WordPress? It's a tool that you can use should you need it. Yeah. I really don't have, people ask like all these like questions about like, what about this technology? What about that technology? And most of the time the technology has a purpose, right? It's like, it's a tool for a certain job. And if you need it for that job, you use it, right? I don't really get into like flame wars about different technologies. I think that's kind of just odd. There are situations where you need to build a blog or some sort of more featureful CMS. A client has used WordPress in the past and they want WordPress again, so you use it. What if coffee chat links are going way over 30 minutes? I mean, that could be a good thing, right? It could be a good thing. If you're having trouble kind of sticking to a certain time limit, just letting the person know at the head of time, hey, like I really appreciate your time. I don't want to, the way I say it is like, hey, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know we had scheduled just to talk for 30 minutes, so just want to be mindful of your time, right? I just mentioned that. I'm really struggling with feeling like an imposter in these coffee chats. Why do you feel like an imposter? You're just there to make friends. You're not claiming to be anything that you're not. You're just there to make friends. Who cares where you're at in that process? You can be the best software engineer, you can be the worst software engineer. It just doesn't matter. What do we need to keep in touch regularly with our new friends? I add them to the sheet and I reach out to them every once in a while with some value. Yeah. Cool. Alrighty. You watch Attack on Titan? I'm not up to date on it. I know the newer stuff came out. I'm not up to date on it. All right, let's do like 5 more and then we'll do a raid. 5 more and then we'll do a raid. Or you know what? We'll go until 3:30 and then we'll end with a raid. So 3:30 and we'll end with a raid. When do we start daily coding challenges? Next week. Next week. Yeah, next week. Do we have a break plan coming up? Nope, we don't have a break plan coming up. Trying to plan when I'll have time to dedicate to making my freelancing clients' websites so you can give a realistic timeline. Yeah, we don't have any planned breaks yet. If class falls on a specific holiday, we normally take that holiday. Free Code Camp, the Odin Project, or Full Stack Open? 100 devs. I feel like if you're a complete beginner, like brand new, and you want to be handheld, Free Code Camp's the best. If you want a little less hand holding and you want to be thrown into the deep end and get really frustrated, then the Odin Project is a good place to start. And then if you've already learned how to code before, or like maybe like you're in like a CS program, or you're just like a really good learner, then Full Stack Open is the place to go. I think they kind of meet people at 3 different places. Yeah, it kind of depends on where you're at in the process. They can be good for 3 different types of people. But again, you got to do things that are high cognitive effort, right? Things that are high cognitive effort. You got to get in there. You got to build and break stuff. Yeah. I think I tell most folks that are interested to start with Free Code Camp. Yeah. So Full Stack Open after 100 devs? I think so. I think that's what I push a lot of alumni to do if they want to keep going deeper. Yeah. We'll assign some Full Stack Open stuff towards the end of the program as well. Yeah. Is it possible to negotiate an offer and continue university on some weekdays? I mean, why? If you already got a good high paying job. But I know some folks that do like night programs. There are some programs that let you like get a CS degree. No, I think it's BU that has it, or BC. Yeah, BU that has it. Like a good, like it's like a 2-year program. Yeah, but up to you. Most companies are going to want to hire you for full-time work. Yeah. You talk about us writing bad code, but what is good code and where can we see it? No one writes good code. It's a myth. And then if somebody does write good code, there'll be 5 other people that are going to be arguing about why it's bad. So does your code solve your problems? If your code solves the problems, it's good code. That's it. Can we go over normalize and reset? So normalize, what it does is it keeps the default styling from the browser, right? It keeps the default style from the browser. So like your paragraphs will be 16 pixels, your H1s might be like 18 pixels, right? It keeps that default styling. It just makes sure that default styling is consistent across all of the different browsers. Reset scorches the earth. Everything goes to 0. Your paragraphs look exactly the same thing as your H1s. So you pick one. Do you want some of the default styling to come through? Use normalize. If you want no default styling to come through, use reset. Would it good code be like optimized and easy to read? Yeah. There are like a lot of like best practices you can get into later on, right? And so you can look up like certain style guides, like Airbnb style guides, a good thing to look at. A lot of people recommend the Clean Code Book, which I do recommend. I don't recommend it ever now. I recommend it once you're like on the job, but Clean Code's a good place to start. Pragmatic Programmer is a good place to start. There are some of these like quintessential like books that people use to like formulate what good clean code looks like, and so you start with those. But that's like once you're employed and have a job and you need to like be consistent when working with other engineers. Any tips on branding ourselves for use across all platforms? No, I don't think that really matters, honestly. Just put out good content and that'll get you there. I think having just a normal photo is fine. And remember, you're just trying to make friends. It's going to come down to how you interact with people and who you reach out to more so. Yeah. Have you done anything for yourself this weekend? Yeah, I went and had a really good meal yesterday. Yeah, a really good meal yesterday. I'm looking at it. That was what I did. Remember, you gotta do something good for yourself this weekend, folks. I had a lot of difficulties this week and I've been able to finish all the layouts. Should I submit them ASAP or should I put all my attention into JS right now? I would make sure you get done the homework. If you want to keep watching us live and not do catch up crew, I would make sure you do the JavaScript work. And then if you have time after JavaScript work, finish up your layouts. Do we ever pay for networking events? No. Conferences are a little bit different, but networking events, no. Never pay to network, never pay to meet people. That's all just wild sauce. Do you have any metaphors for functions in JS? Functions are just sets of instructions. That's it. Just sets of instructions. All they are, sets of instructions. And the cool thing is that you just give sets of instructions, right? You give sets of instructions a name, and then you can reuse those sets of instructions over and over again. That's all. But we haven't covered functions yet, so we'll get there. Like a recipe, exactly. It's a recipe that you can use over and over again. But we haven't gotten there in class yet. But we'll get there. I see lots of divs in code online. Why not sections? What's the difference? So a lot of times when you're looking at like bigger websites, they're using a CMS, and the CMS spits out garbage code. So if you're looking at like big companies, they're probably not writing HTML or CSS. They're passing code into they're like passing stuff into a content management system. Then the content management system kind of spits out like not so great stuff. So that's where you're seeing a lot of that probably coming from. Can we get an alumni merch drop? Yeah, we're working on merch coming soon. Yeah, coming soon. We learned to make a CMS. Not really. Like we have like a project that's kind of similar, but not fully featured. What's an example of a CMS? WordPress is a CMS. Yeah, that's probably the most like one that most people have heard of the most. Yeah. Can we get a UK EU alumni answering some questions about how to network? It's the same thing. It literally does not matter where you are. It is the exact same process. Find places that have events, go to those events, right? If you don't have events close to you, find a different city that does have events. If there's no cities near you that have events, do it remotely. It's the same process. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Some places have more densely populated tech centers, but if you don't have a densely populated tech center near you, just reach out further and further, because everything right now is remote. Because everything is remote, it doesn't really matter where you are. If you want to network in New York right now, you could. You want to network in Shanghai, you could. Like, it just doesn't matter right now. Everything's remote. Yeah. I'm having a hard time knowing how to animate my sites. I don't want to break the golden rule of separation of concerns. How should I use JS, CSS, or both? If you're talking like normal animations, those should all be done in CSS. We'll actually have we'll take a Sunday to do CSS animations, right? We'll actually cover that, but your animations are triggered by JavaScript. Like the user does something and then your animations take effect. So your animations are probably going to happen in CSS, but you can trigger them via JavaScript, and that doesn't violate separation of concerns. Yeah, we'll have a class on animations and stuff like that because I find them fun. Yeah. All right, folks. Let's go ahead and end with a lovely raid. And so want to do a raid. Remember, you get all the lovely channel points when you do a raid. And so definitely hang around to go to the raid. If you haven't followed them, give them some love, some follows. And I'll see you all on Tuesday. We have class on Tuesday, folks. I know that the forum on Discord said next Thursday. That was just a copy and paste error. But yeah, we're gonna come back together on Tuesday for our next class. We're gonna go deeper into JavaScript. You're probably actually gonna see me go live later tonight. I'm just gonna be like hanging out, trying to fix some stuff on stream. Still some sounds I needed to dial in. I'm probably just gonna like play Pokemon. Like don't come. It's just me testing stuff and playing around with stuff. I'm not covering anything like seriously, but yeah, you might see like on a live alert. That's just me messing around playing with stuff. It won't be long. If you're coming anyways, that's on you. But yeah, let's go ahead and do a raid, and I'll see all you lovely folks on Tuesday. It was wonderful hanging out with you. Have a great rest of your Sunday. We're going over to True to say what's up. All right, everybody, see you on over there. Peace.